One of the hardest things survivors, especially male survivors, have on their plate is realizing that confusion does not cancel out violation. Okay. Many people imagine assault as something that is clear cut and obvious, but sometimes it lingers afterwards, and what lingers is the uncertainty. Did I fight hard enough? Was I too drunk? Maybe I should have stopped it more forcibly. Does it even count if I froze? In this Survivor to Survivor episode, we're talking about consent, intoxication, coercion, and why uncertainty is often a part of the trauma itself. This is Survivor to Survivor.
Survivor to Survivor, break the silence. In the depths of silence, a voice emerges. A voice that says, "You are not alone." Welcome to Survivor, where strength rises through shared stories, where pain transforms into resilience, where survivors connect and empower each other. Your story matters. Your voice matters. You matter. Join the movement. Subscribe now. Welcome to Survivor to Survivor.
Well, I'm glad to be back with you this Friday. We got a very interesting email in, so let's get into that. On the subject, it said, I don't know if this was assault or if I'm overthinking it. So it says, Hi, Tara. I am honestly really nervous writing this because I've never talked about it openly before. A few months ago, I went to a party with friends. We drank a lot. The party was in my neighborhood, so I walked home instead of driving. I remember getting home and passing out really hard in the bed. Sometime in the middle of the night, I woke up confused because a girl from the party was on top of me and we were already having sex. She had always been kind of obsessed with me, but I was never interested in her like that. My memory is fuzzy because I was still really drunk and half asleep, but I remember asking her what she was doing and telling her she needed to leave. I don't remember physically throwing her off of me or fully stopping it. I think eventually she finished and left. Ever since then, she's been acting like we're in a relationship, telling people we hooked up, showing up in places, messaging me constantly, and now I'm honestly getting creeped out. Part of me is worried she could get pregnant. Some of my female friends told me this sounds like date rape or sexual assault, but I don't know. I keep thinking, if I didn't physically force her off of me, does that mean I allowed it? I don't want to report anything. And if I'm overreacting and making something bigger than it is, how do I deal with this? Honestly, I just feel confused. Okay. So first, I want to say to you, what you're describing raises a serious concern around consent. Your confusion does not make your feelings invalid about what happened. There are a lot of people, especially men, young men, struggle to recognize a situation like this because society teaches them that men are like always willing and men can't be violated by a woman, right? Or that they, if they were physically into the act and didn't fight someone off, it doesn't count. Now, none of those things are true, of course. Consent requires the ability to consciously and willingly participate. And from what you described, you were heavily intoxicated, asleep or semi-conscious, right, when it began. confused upon waking up, and verbally asking questions and telling her to leave. So that is not enthusiastic, informed consent, in my opinion. Now, I want to acknowledge why this feels complicated emotionally, because trauma responses are not always dramatic or forceful. Okay, some people freeze. Some people like disassociate and shut down, or comply because they're disoriented or impaired. Especially when waking up and suddenly in a sexual situation they did not initiate. Not physically pushing someone away doesn't automatically mean consent was present. And honestly, many survivors spend years kind of replaying those moments in their head, thinking I should have done more, whether they're a man or a woman. So, that self-questioning is incredibly common after traumatic experiences. Now, as for what to do next, right? It's something you don't have to decide today, whether or not you want to report this. And the decision is extremely personal. But I do want to encourage you to definitely talk to someone safe and supportive, okay? Go ahead and document the interaction, especially if she's continuing to have interactions with you, because this can turn into a potential stalking, all right? Because that's basically what you have outlined and implied here, and I don't think you understand that ramification. If she's showing up places and contacting you when you haven't asked her, she's trying to put a relationship on this. These are all serious red flags, okay? Set clear written boundaries if you feel safe to do so. And if you need to seek support from a counselor or an advocate, then do so. Don't throw off how this is affecting you emotionally, okay? Also, you mentioned a concern about pregnancy. That anxiety is definitely understandable given the situation. But right now, I think it's more important to focus on grounding yourself emotionally and recognizing the discomfort of the situation you're in. And that it's okay to be confused at this time. And that the fact you did not violently resist someone while intoxicated doesn't erase the possibility that your boundaries and consent were violated. You are allowed to take this seriously, even if you're still trying to understand that for yourself, what happened. But I would encourage you, there are serious red flags here, serious potentials with stalking. And so you need to make yourself aware and not just blow this off, okay? Now, conversations around consent in male survivors are often misunderstood and minimalized. Us women get that. We've had years of that as well. If you've ever struggled to process a situation where your boundaries or consent felt unclear afterward, what helped you begin to understand your experience? Your perspective could help someone feel less isolated in their confusion. Also, Survivors to Survivor exists because difficult questions like this deserve compassionate and an honest space. If you'd like to submit your question for an upcoming episode, email us at podcast@breakthesilencedv.org. You will remain anonymous. And survivors of all genders deserve support, understanding, and resources without shame or stigma. You can help support Survivor to Survivor through the Spark Good Roundup program. Visit www.walmart.com/sparkgood and search for Break the Silence Against Domestic Violence as your preferred 501c3 of choice and round up your purchases to support survivors. Every small action helps someone feel seen and believed. And we will see you next week on Survivor to